Hello, welcome to another recap episode of Outlast. This is the Outlast recap from episode 11, titled The Cockroach. I'm Alex, I'm the host and creator of Outlast, and I'm joined, as always, by Jen. Hello, Jen.
Hello.
Also joined as what is becoming close to always as well by Ziggy the cat. She didn't want to talk that time.
No.
Same warning as always. This is a recap episode for episode 11 of Outlast. If you haven't yet watched that episode, spoilers abound. Go leave us, watch the episode, and come back. It'd be weird if you were here without having seen the episode. I'm not sure what the algorithm would be doing to induce that, but I suppose it's always a possibility. The algorithms are a mystery to us.
Always will be.
Okay, let's talk about episode 11, The Cockroach, which is one of my favorite episode titles to date. Thank you, Dan. It's the best voting booth confessional that we've got, even though it was in what has become a pattern for Dan, an incorrectly called shot in the voting booth, but it's still great TV nonetheless. Let's start by talking about our favorite moments from this episode.
Yeah, I would say my favorite moments are the challenge as well as the scramble
Mm-hmm.
pre-tribal when they find out about the immunity idol.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed this episode because I couldn't quite remember who got out this vote.
Oh.
I was pretty sure it was Ty, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I think that the challenge was a really challenging one. It was probably the longest runtime of anyone we did over the whole weekend with the multiple versions of it. And yeah, Sam and Ty in particular just really had a lot of stamina out there. Lasted quite a long time.
I think it was like 30 minutes total.
It was, yeah,
Because
something
I remember
like
I looked back at time during real time.
that. Yeah.
And all of them looked so tired. And so I didn't think it was
Right.
going to last that long. The worst part, and I think you can't really tell from the challenge, and maybe you can, but those little half balls that they're standing on,
Yeah, it's tough to see.
it's tough to see, but they're tough.
Yeah.
It's like a mini Bosu ball for
Mhm.
anyone who's in the gym.
Yeah.
And I was just really impressed that it felt like that wasn't like a challenge to Sam. It seemed like, I don't know, he just didn't look like he was getting tired.
Yeah. Yeah, he did a good job of, I think, like shifting his weight around.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like, the more you try and be stationary on those, the harder it is.
Yeah.
Instead of just kind of like letting yourself naturally flow. But yeah, really impressive effort from both of those. And Sky, too, who lasted a really long time out there. And then, yeah, the idol clue was crazy with how that all popped off very dramatically at the end of the cycle. I'm reminded of the episode in Survivor Cagayan where somebody finds a hint and then everybody finds the hint that they found and everybody just starts sprinting through the jungle. Everybody knows everybody's looking for it. It kind of had that same energy, but the twist, of course, this time is that the idol wasn't at camp at all. It was a tribal council, which we'll speak to. I think for me, yeah, the challenge was fun. I think that the tribal council was one of the better tribal councils, not vote wise, but like content leading into the vote. The conversation, obviously, there's the idol find. Yeah, at this point, everybody's gotten, I think, really comfortable in those seats and gave compelling answers.
Ty even gave a compelling answer to get him out.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and yeah, then the idol find and play, which we'll talk about in greater detail. I think made for a fun tribal sequence. And there's still, I think, some. It was up in the air, for the viewers, hopefully, of who would be going home there, between Ty and Sky specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's talk about Ty, who's the eliminated player from this episode. Everybody left in the game at this point is a star of the show because they're making it to the penultimate episode at least. But Ty really was, I think, one of the stars of Outlast, from the very beginning. With he brings the most interesting stuff to come out of the Orange camp at the beginning, finding that idol, getting it out of Hannah's bag and into his hands, the way that he grabs the block off of the tree, all really entertaining, fun stuff. Is one of the, he wins the first individual challenge when they're split into individual groups at the tribal stage. I think he wins the challenge at the merge too. Let's see, that was the rings, and so he wins the first challenge at the merge, and then so he really cements his status as like a real threat to win challenges, having won the first two. Hits the shot for the group challenge too. I know that he prides himself on his challenge performance and definitely had the label of challenge beast more so than any other player here, but also I think had an underrated or underrepresented strategic game too, and that a lot of times you do see him kind of going with the flow or along with the numbers, but has a few key moments where he leads the charge against Cody, is a really, really big vote early on. He's got this sort of secret alliance with Isaac that you don't hear or see a whole lot about. He's ingratiated himself with the Green Group. I think, really strong overall, well-rounded player who had a legitimate shot to win this thing, had he survived a few more rounds and, given his history in the individual challenges, wouldn't have been a stretch to think that he could have won out. So,
yeah. I really like Ty. Still like Ty.
that's good.
Yep. Challenge boy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think there is strategy to saying use me as a number
Mm-hmm.
and get farther in the game. Especially when you have such a tight alliance that you're trying to break into and move along with. I think it's a solid plan. I think the only thing that bet him is how good he was at challenges, and at that point,
Yeah, they weren't too keen on letting him continue on and potentially win his way to the end.
Right. It is wild to me that there wasn't a different plan to get out Abby or Elizabeth. I mean, there were like trying to be plans.
Mm-hmm.
And then ultimately that they didn't vote Sky out.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, like, you kind of leave the episode and you're like, okay, yeah, Ty's out. And you're like, again, how did this happen?
Sure. Yeah. Sky advances again.
Yep.
This time without the help of an idol.
Right.
Yeah, and the long teased green mutiny doesn't come to pass yet again. I think more so than any other round up to this point, except for maybe last round's about the same level, but it's like you just want to say, like, Abby and Sam just need to talk to each other because they're having the same thoughts here, right? Like, I think Abby maybe still is not all the way there. You can see her even in confessional kind of wrestling with it herself of is now the time or not. But Sam seems ready, and he has seemed ready. And I think Abby is that number he's looking for to make the move, but they just never seem to be on the same page there. Yeah, you see Abby and Elizabeth talking, you see Abby and Dan talking, you see Sam and Dan talking, you see Sam and Elizabeth talking,
Mm-hmm.
but you never, for whatever reason, really see just Sam and Abby talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so who knows? Who knows if one of them breaches the topic, does that go anywhere? Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
I want to shout out one of two. Excuse me. One of two banger lines that would have been that are strong episode title runners up. The first one is Sam's "I'm a rickety old ship," referring to himself at the challenge. The other comes at Tribal, which I'll talk about this moment later. But when Abby's 5 mind games deep,
Mm.
I think would have also been a great title. But I just couldn't not name it the cockroach. It's too good.
Or the Queen.
Yeah, that was good too when Sky was saying that the group had to save their queen
Mm-hmm.
last round with Elizabeth. Yeah. The only other thing from the challenge I wanted to talk about was Sky's attempt to make a deal here, which I think is so interesting that this happens because of we've established like Sky is not a Survivor viewer,
Mm-hmm.
but this is like a classic, especially earlier old school Survivor thing that happens, and she just like has the same idea, right? And it's like
Yeah.
again, proof that she's learning. And also it's like, yeah, there's a reason that this came up in the actual show, before too. And so, yeah, she's telling Sky and Sam like, let me get this one and I'll take care of you. Nobody bites, and I think that's appropriate for both of them because what
Yeah.
power does Sky have to, keep either of them out of the target? Like
Right.
she's clearly the one with the least amount of solid allegiances left in the game, so it's kind of an empty promise. But I just thought it was interesting that it came to pass.
Yeah.
And so Sam wins his first immunity challenge. This is, yeah, his first win. You look at Sam and you maybe are surprised by that, but yeah, has been in a few challenges, has lost a few pretty badly. And the first one comes at an impactful time here at Final Six. I wanted to talk about day 3 production a little bit,
Yeah.
not to excuse anything, but this is a thing we've done less and less, I guess, as the weekend's gone on. But due to extenuating circumstances, we're really operating on a skeleton crew here on day 3. We had, I think, 3 of the folks who were on camera the day before who weren't able to stick around on Sunday, and so we had Nate and Daniel there who'd been there all weekend. Shouts Nate and Daniel.
Daniel wasn't there on Sunday.
Oh, you're right. It was Nate
But
and
we knew
Sarah.
but we knew Daniel wasn't going to be
Right,
there.
right. But Nate and Sarah were there, and then that was it. And so we had Amy, had been just like directing, hopped on a camera. You hopped on a camera.
Yeah.
I actually ran a camera a few times, like at camp and on confessional, and so we're like one fewer camera angle to pick from at Tribal, and I think also at challenges. So it's a bummer that we're here at the climax and we're like kind of on our last legs production wise, but yeah, it felt like this was on hard mode here on
Yeah.
day 3.
Yeah, it was tough. Like I was really feeling exhausted and emotionally spent. And it's like I wasn't playing mind games. So
Right.
yeah, it was a lot. It was very fun to hide that immunity idol at camp.
The clue, you mean? The
Well,
immunity idol was at Tribal.
Sorry. Yeah, hiding the immunity idol at Tribal was fun. And kind of placing that, I think it didn't end up turning out exactly how we had hoped because we didn't get footage.
Yeah, because we didn't shoot it. Yeah.
Of Elizabeth getting the idol,
Right.
which was a big bummer. And I mean, this plays into day 3 production. Is pretty much everything that happened day 3. We were behind schedule from the jump, I think, because of the challenge going so long.
Right.
That then anytime there was no reshooting. It was like, it's probably fine, and so.
I just hate reshooting in general. It's a waste of time. But I hear you. Yeah, do you want to talk about the idol now? We can skip ahead there since you brought it up.
Yeah.
So the clue at camp basically says like it's like fire is your life in this game. You find more life in the thing that carries it or something to that effect, right? So pointing them to the torches. I didn't even consider that we still had blocks out there with torches on them, which proved to be a really nice misdirect unintentionally. But yeah, I had been thinking for a while, it's like I think it'd be really fun to hide an idol at Tribal Council.
Yeah.
I had a couple other ideas of where to hide it at Tribal that we ended up not doing. Ended up going with this where, now that we had left the torches there, we rather than making them bring them back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the torches there, I'm like, let's just hide one on a torch. And so, yeah, we kind of pieced together a simple bead chain and kind of tucked it in one of the torches. And yeah, Elizabeth nailed it right away, with the clue. She's like, thinks it's a torch at Tribal Council, and she was right. Yeah, and you see everybody kind of scanning them when they walk in. It was hidden pretty well, so nobody saw it immediately. And then over the course of Tribal, yeah, at a point that we weren't shooting it, Elizabeth does recognize the thing hanging off one of the torches, and grabs it and immediately plays it, which proves to be an unimpactful idol play. But I imagine we'll hear from her explicitly, but I think the level of I don't know, heat on it at that point, and kind of uncertainty of how things were going, she thought it best to just get it out of play,
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that I was really excited to hide the idol at Tribal. I wish that we captured it better, maybe that it played out differently, but yeah, I think it was a cool thing to do.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been fun to get more video of it, and or for it to have been played in a way that was a bigger moment.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, it's still a good story and was still fun in the moment.
Yeah. So also regarding the idol, right? There's the clue that's found. Dan rips the block off with the torch on it. I don't know. I want to ask Dan, did he in that moment think he got it and then was persuaded out of thinking it? Or was it always a bluff?
Yeah.
Either way is defensible because he found a thing with a torch on it. So, it could very well could have been it. It just would have been us doing the same, thing twice.
It just cracked me up because he's so excited. He puts it around his neck.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sky just roasts him for it at Tribal.
That's true.
Okay, that's crazy. And
classic Sky Tribal Council antics, though.
Yeah, and he's just so happy boy, with his little idol around his neck. Mm-hmm. But he's also, I feel at that point he is playing into it. And I feel at that point he's very certain he doesn't even play it.
Yeah.
And he's in a good spot that he doesn't even need to play it.
Right.
But yeah, when he kisses it, it's just too good.
Great. I think that's about it on the idol. So yeah, we talked about Abby and Sam not pulling the trigger this time against Elizabeth. She actually doesn't get votes for the first time in a while, seemingly. And yeah, plays the idol. Ultimately, doesn't need to. Could have kept it for next round, but I think this is a calculated choice nonetheless. So if they're not going to eliminate Elizabeth, I'm the question then is between Ty and Sky. It seems like, and there seems to be like split opinions among the Green majority about who they prefer. Right, like Dan wants to keep Ty in the game because he has a little side alliance with Ty. Ultimately votes for Sky instead of Ty. So again, a thing to ask him is this an instance of him, maybe not getting the final plan or
Mm-hmm.
misunderstanding it, or is it an intentional like vote split scenario? We didn't get any indication that it was, but could have been so. Especially with his voting booth confessional, really makes it seem like he was voting Sky to eliminate Sky, not like as
Yeah.
a safety plan. But anyway, let's discuss the merits of eliminating Ty versus Sky here.
I think it's pretty crazy to eliminate Ty over Sky.
And why is that?
Because, yeah, sure, Ty's a threat for immunity challenges. But I think end game, if Sky is up there with you or Elizabeth is up there with you, I think one of them have the best shot of winning. Especially, I think, again, we're seeing something more than they are, but like the jury,
Mm-hmm.
I think, really rooting for Sky. I don't know. And Sky's still like, she hung in there
Yeah.
for the immunity challenge. So it's not like she's not a threat with immunity
Right.
challenges.
Right.
Maybe they're just thinking we'll get her on the next one, but you don't have a guarantee of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think Ty does play a good game, but I don't think he's as much of a threat as
At
the
a
other
final tribal.
at a final tribal.
Yeah. I do think like Abby says right after the vote that like him saying that he's finished first or second every time just got like stuck in her head. And that's probably what it came down to here is that threat of Ty winning out,
Yeah.
and getting to final tribal. And then at that point, how do you vote against him? Like, yeah, you can obviously Outlast is a game where a lot of things play into who the winner is. There's multiple ways to play and there's multiple things to weigh when you're making a vote. But if he goes on a tear here and wins 3 straight to get to final tribal, like,
Yeah.
you know, pretty compelling case. Yeah, I'm interested in it because
Yeah, I guess
you,
if it's like him, Dan, Sam, does he win then in that case?
I don't know. I mean, there's still a lot of game to play. But if he wins out, I don't know. I think if he wins out, it doesn't matter who he sits next to. I think he's got a reasonable shot.
Yeah. I just think it feels so much more risky to keep Sky in the game because I think she is trying to lull them into thinking like, oh yeah, like you can keep me. I'm
Yeah.
not like, and people keep saying like, no, you're a threat.
Yeah. I really do think it probably comes down to them thinking about the challenges in this case. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, Sky hangs in there, but is she gonna win out? Like, probably not. Like, maybe she'll get one and delay them by one or something. But like,
Yeah.
Ty's a legit threat to win every challenge here on out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I'm interested in the discussion and hearing from like Dan or Elizabeth or Abby or Sam about it. Because I think there's merits either way. And yeah, Sky's shocked that she's still in the game when Ty gets eliminated too. So yeah, who knows? The other thing about the idol that I didn't mention is back to a theme of last week is like how big it is to keep things a secret, like idol stuff a secret. Imagine how differently this goes if Sam sees it and then waits till Elizabeth walks off and like secretively grabs it, like uh still would have to find the idol, which is challenging in this case since it is such a misdirect, but gives himself a chance to go into the last part of this game with a really powerful thing in his pocket, the only one that would be in the game at that point. So yeah,
I feel like he says he regrets it,
he
right?
yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's such a hard thing because I think I judge a lot of Survivor players of like, why are you sharing this? And it's like, I think in the moment, it's really hard not to.
It's like conceal your emotion.
That and like, I think when you see something, like, I would immediately grab it and not have the patience to wait because, especially you're standing next to Elizabeth. What if she saw it? But then also you're like, okay, shoot, I grabbed it. Now I have to share it with you because it's in front of you, right? Like,
But even the two of them, if they were like, okay, let's grab this and like sneak away, instead of doing it right in front of where everyone can see it too, like, who knows?
I think they just got excited.
Yeah. I have to again bring mention to Sam telling somebody that he's voting them out again, which I talked with Isaac about in our last week's episode where he, basically does this. Like Isaac telling Elizabeth was inspired by Sam telling other people that he's voting for them, and him like seeing it be effective, and like raising their view of him. And so, yeah, here it is again. And it, again, seems to be, like, effective in that people aren't taking it badly, like you would expect them to. And I think it's just a testament to how charming and well-liked Sam is. Like, you're like, oh, it's all right,
Well, and I think this episode in particular, I really saw it so much more as jury management.
Absolutely.
And because, yeah, he's openly saying at Tribal, he said he's going to vote for me. It's all good. It's all good. Like, and you're like, yeah, he's going to go sit on that bench, and he's not pissed that Sam put him there.
Right.
Which is crazy. I mean, you hope that, like, jury members can look beyond, right? But it's such a solid gameplay.
Yeah.
Such a good strategy, but it's also, like, it won't work for everyone. Like, people could do that and it won't work.
Totally.
It's
you gotta be able to pull it off.
Yeah.
So yeah, last other note, of course, there's the cockroach line, which we've mentioned. You're the cockroach that won't die, and this is the time you finally get squashed. Very funny. There's the 5 mind games deep, which it comes in what I think is a really great, moment for Abby and Skye, where they've kind of been at each other's, necks a little bit these last few rounds. Abby's voted for her a few times. Skye's throwing her under the bus. And Abby, we hear last time too, they're like, oh, I actually really like Abby, And Abby here kind of returning the favor of like, I think you're really smart and good and scary, like, and I don't know. I just think when a rivalry has that sort of like mutual respect, it's cool.
Yeah, I like that moment a lot.
And so then it's final 6. So 3 on Ty, 2 on Skye, 1 on Dan. Again, Dan puts that vote on Skye with Ty. And then Skye votes for Dan, which I'm not really sure.
I'm really confused
the
by
thought
that.
there. Like, I think Skye is thinking that idol's not real. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe she just never got a plan from anyone else. Like, she's being given the cold shoulder.
Yeah.
And that was just the best option she could think of, expecting that again, idol's not going to actually be played. So I don't know. Another thing we'll have to ask her about, because it is kind of out of character. She's like pretty in the loop with at least a minority plan. But yeah, yeah. It probably just is. Nobody's telling her, like, vote for Ty, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Um, okay, anything else before we go to awards?
I don't think so.
Cool.
Gonna have a hard time with this one though.
Yeah, there's fewer people to choose from. Okay, so of course, this is Dan's episode in terms of naming the episode. Well done to Dan. That's his first named episode. Um, Jen, who do you have for your player of the week who gets your Gerchie award?
Oh, this is a tough one. I don't feel like I have one that really sticks out for me.
Nothing really sticking in your craw.
I don't know what that means. So no. I feel like in real life, I remember this vote and remember this happening, remember her finding the idol, and I was really, really scared that Elizabeth was gonna get voted out, and was like willing her in my mind to find the idol,
Sure.
and was like, she has to find it, she has to find it. And then she didn't get any votes, but I still was like, phew. Um, So, going off of my real life experience, and I'm mainly really rooting for, overall this whole time, Abby, Elizabeth, Sky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give it to Elizabeth.
Okay. Jen gives hers to Elizabeth. That's I believe 3 straight weeks that Elizabeth picks up a Gerchie award, so that's exciting. Um yeah, I think I'm going to go. It's like Sky survives, but she votes wrong, so it's not really of her own merit that she does survive. Um I think I go Sam. Sam wins immunity. He seemingly manages Ty well as he sends him to the jury. He votes correctly. Um yeah, I think this one goes to Sam. I'm thinking about Dan, but Dan
Got the vote
seems to
wrong.
want Ty to stay in the game and doesn't get his way this time. So that's a knock against him. Um, I think Abby and Sam are similar then, with Elizabeth off the board. But Sam has the immunity win and that little um, extra bonus with the tie jury management, or at least the how it seems. So I'm gonna give mine to Sam. Uh, and then I don't know what we're gonna do this for the finale. Is this the like final tally of Gertie awards? Because the finale episode's award would just be the winner, theoretically, you know.
Oh, that's sad.
But there's why is that sad?
I don't know. I was just thinking about the next couple of votes and who I would maybe give my Gertrude award
Okay,
to.
we can give one for each round of the finale. How about that? We'll just have to, um, do our recap show differently. But yeah, we'll do a Gerchie for each round of the finale episode.
Yeah.
Cool. At which point we'll also give a total tally because I don't trust myself to try and run the numbers right now live on the spot. Okay, that will do it for this portion of the recap show. I've yet to get Ty on the calendar. He's currently jet setting out of the country, but I am confident that he will be down to chat because that's just the kind of dude he is. And so I'll confidently send us to the next portion of the show where you'll hear from Ty and I. Okay, I'm joined now by Ty, who, of course, is the eliminated player of this episode. Ty, thank you for joining. Welcome on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Not the greatest to join a part of this, but as you said, other times everyone's got to pay the price eventually. So
Yeah,
glad I at least made it this far.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, want to start by saying, what a great game, what a great character you were for the show. Like, I think everybody who is in the game at this point is like a legit, threat to win. You were no exception to that. And so, between the initial idol stuff, the immunity wins, kind of your more under the radar play is really, really strong all around. Good game. So, well done.
I appreciate that. Yeah, everyone has an idea of what they want to be when they go into a game like this. So
Yeah,
it's really tough to kind of do a lot of stuff that you want to do, and I feel like I got to do quite a bit. So I'm really happy with how my game went.
that's great. Yeah, we'll start with the same sort of thing that I've asked everybody, and I just want to hear your experience with watching the show after, having lived it. What's been different about watching it? Is there anything that has surprised you? That's either new information that you didn't know about, or just a different perspective. Yeah, what's it been like watching the show?
Yeah, so perspectives have changed a good amount when watching the show back.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were playing, we know everything that's happening on the beginning, our orange side, but you never really get to know what's happening on the other side at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And when we kind of did the tribe swap, we did have, I believe, four. I believe we had four green on ours on the original swap, but then
Yeah, I think that's
you're only
right.
getting you're only getting their side and version of how stuff goes on. So I never got to really know about Abby and Liz and what their game was like until we made it to the merge. So
Yeah.
um, the perspective changed a lot because I only knew it's. I want to give Dan a lot of credit here. I only knew Dan from just the tiny portion that we were tribe swapped,
Yeah.
and really left him out in a lot of the kind of votes and discussions we did. And of course, what happened because of that was we just felt like then, oh, that's kind of how it's always been with him. So getting to watch it and see like, oh, he's a part of a lot of the strategic conversations going on with Liz and Abby. It was really neat to see that kind of change. Where it's like, oh, like everything I thought and a couple of us thought like genuinely was not right at all. So I,
Mm-hmm.
I do want to give Dan a lot of credit there where it's kind of he unfortunately got kind of put in a tough spot there,
Yeah.
and the narrative kind of stuck with that when really that really wasn't going on. So that was a big change watching back of being like, oh, like yeah, that was completely different than how I thought it even was.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been a common refrain, I think, that a lot of people have agreed on watching it back. It's like, yeah, his reputation after that swap phase really was diminished, and in a game like this that moves fast and where perception is reality, that's like tough to overcome, even if the reality doesn't align with it. So, yeah, I think everybody seeing more clear visioned of what he was up to. I think yeah, a lot of people have said the same thing. So
Yeah, and credit to him because as you're watching it too, up until this point, like it doesn't change how he's playing at all,
right,
attitude wise. I'm sure he can tell that people sense that in the moment, but he really doesn't let it get to him at all. He still plays his normal game, so credit to him on that.
totally. Um, let's go back in time. One of the things I wanted to talk about was your initial idol find and play. Just to remind the folks, this was all the way back in the first few episodes where you deftly find that clue and then rip the board off of the tree, and you know it ends up in Hannah's bag, and then you get it back. Is there anything more to that story that you want to add that maybe didn't make air, or anything? It was just such a fun story, especially early on in the season.
For some, it's fun, but it was definitely the worst few hours of my life trying to go through that. Because no, just knowing that, like in my head, I was like, if there's an idol, it's probably going to be some kind of necklace, like in some
Sure.
paper and such. So that's why initially I just ripped it off, and then when I was pretty much told why is that, hey, like, that was it. It was just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh crap, and
Yeah.
then finding out the other side had the exact same thing happen is even more funny.
It is really,
Um,
yeah, a thing I really didn't anticipate, but both people did it. So
yeah, so good, but yeah, trying to get it back was always really tough. I mean, there's several times where we had already taken, like, you had this kind of plate that had hand
mm-hmm.
drawn stuff on it, and I kept trying to get everyone just to put theirs back out,
Mm-hmm.
to try to see if it matched the puzzle of that plate, but they'd already done it like twice, so I was already kind of screwed in that sense for trying to get it back out. But just got lucky enough to where we started playing that frisbee game,
Yeah.
and somehow I happened to look over, and Hannah just randomly took hers out and put it a place the others, because I just tossed mine down. I was like, well, I don't think we need these anymore, and I kind of dramatically kind of tossed it on the ground because I wanted everyone to see me do it.
Yep. Yep.
And slowly more and more plates started appearing, and we're in the middle of that frisbee game. I look over and saw the actual one on the ground. I was like, okay, like, I gotta sneak away. And so I kind of did a quick timeout, like, hey, anyone want to play for me? I've been playing for too long.
Yeah.
So thankfully someone came in for me, and I just waited for like mid throw when everyone's looking up in the air, and I just grabbed it as quick as I could
That's
and
so funny.
tried not to freak out.
Yeah. That's great. And then you played it in that first tribal where ultimately you didn't need to, even though you did receive some votes. Yeah, how in retrospect do you wish you maybe would have hung on to that, even though I don't know. Also, in retrospect, your name didn't come up again for a long time. Yeah, just wonder what you think about that play now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's easy to go back in time now, or like reflect now and be like, oh, I didn't need to play it, so I shouldn't have, and be like, that would have been nice to have. But really, I don't regret it, because early on, I did a horrible job, really, kind of making connections with people and trying to like talk strategic. I really didn't want to be seen as someone scrambling and running around,
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of just was chill and was honestly like way too relaxed. Um, right off the bat, I only really talked to Adam and Sky about kind of working with them,
Uh huh.
and they were pretty much like, "Hey, like, I'm cool with it." I was like, "All right." So I have those three. In my head, I thought that, and then I kind of just relaxed and laid low. And so when I finally got at my possession, I just told myself, like, if someone's seriously considering voting for me, like, I'm playing it no matter what,
Yeah.
because I did a terrible job of like really trying to talk strategic wise with people and getting in the know. So I'm already on limited information.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's anyone considering coming for me, I'm better off just playing it and then just dealing with whatever happens afterwards
Yeah.
as a consequence. So no matter what, I was going to play it, just because of how, before I went to confessional, Emily kind of said, "Hey, pretty sure Adam and Sky are going for you." And then as
Mm-hmm.
soon as I got back, Isaac and Hannah pulled me aside, and they're like, "Yeah, like, Adam and Sky are pulling hard for you, but we
Yeah.
don't want to be you." So then I'm like, okay, if your guys are being truthful, I have to play it. But also, I hadn't talked strategy with Isaac or Hannah,
Yeah.
so it could easily be just a blind side to make me feel comfortable. Although they wouldn't know I have the idol, it,
Yeah.
it would be a safe way for them to make me feel comfortable just to let me go. So I just wasn't willing to really risk not playing it there.
Yeah. Totally. I think it's completely justifiable, and like the butterfly effect of it all. I think even though it wasn't a necessary play, like it did add to the volatility of that first orange tribal council, like it was such a fun moment and reaction, and it added to the drama of it, which catalyzed kind of the splintering of orange that we saw in the next phase of the game, like obviously it didn't change the result, but I don't know, maybe if it's a cleaner vote out and there's not anything played, maybe orange holds together a little bit better. I don't know, but yeah, I'm
Yeah,
glad you
and
played it too. It was a really fun reaction and moment.
yeah, and once I played that and we got back, I think everyone's brains kind of clicked, like, oh, like, there is idols, like, the game is on
Yeah.
right now. It really made people change that way, and had I not played it, it might have hurt me later just to be holding on to it the whole time, because then I feel like Orange probably could have narrowed it down to me having one because Liz had all the
Yeah.
info of her having it, so she could have easily used that to my disadvantage of showing me being as, you can't trust Ty because it's broken down where they figure out I have it. I've had it this whole time and haven't told anyone. It
Yeah.
really could have worked really bad in my favor had I just kept it secret and just held on to it.
Interesting. Yeah.
And as you know, I'm really great at keeping things to myself when talking with others, so really
Yeah.
would not have been great.
Great at downplaying your own risk or your own threat level.
Absolutely.
Great at
Don't worry
not.
about me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the Cody vote. You made a note to bring this up, and I wanted to talk about it too. Is it definitely feels like one of the bigger moves in the pre-merge. Cody's like identified as a big threat. He looked to be getting through this round unscathed, and you kind of pull a last-second swap and get out. Who was at that time, probably the biggest target.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe talk more about what tipped you off or what gave you the motivation to pull off that move. I know that you talked about like he kind of heard his name and started scrambling a little bit. Do you want to talk any more about what
Yeah.
went into that?
Yeah, for sure. So what really started with kind of Cody of someone I wanted to at least work with other people and voting out was when we were just having our like kumbaya fun moments in the beginning that Green did not like, of course,
Right.
understandably. We were just huddled around sharing stories and talking, and Cody shared just playfully, like nothing crazy, but about how he played kind of a survivor little game in the woods, like with
Mm-hmm.
friends and such, and how he had played with Abby's partner. I think Sam's his name as well,
Yeah. Yep.
ironically, and how he blindsided him super hard, like, late in the game. And it was, like an awesome moment. And he said it'd be great in this one if he could make go full circle and make it near the end and do the same thing to Abby. So
Yeah.
when others kind of laughed, I thought in my head, like, oh, he's thinking that late in the game
Yeah.
already. Like,
Yeah.
so immediately I was like, all right, keep that in mind. And then when it actually came time to, us with our group of six there where it came down to getting him out.
Mm-hmm.
um, Never once did I really go into losing that challenge thinking like, all right, now's the time at all.
Yeah.
I was definitely fully going with our orange and working on doing the 222. And I believe if we went through, I believe Sam would have been the one going home
Okay.
at that point. um
Yeah, I think
but
that's the read I got from Cody at that time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely would go to revote, but would all just dump it on Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And then uh whenever a couple people, of course, that was like Dan was like talking about getting Cody, who's they're gonna vote for.
Yeah.
They didn't have the numbers, but Cody did kind of start. I think that was the first time then he had really heard his name, and just naturally he just wanted to, confirm everything with everyone else. But
Mm-hmm.
the way he went about it was so scrambly, and he happened to talk to me solo. It's like, hey, me and Hannah, we're super tight. Like, and we, you can be with us and we'll reconnect and go, pretty far when we merge.
Yeah.
And it was very like I could see how it was. He didn't mean it by any way, but how it was received by me was, me and Hannah are tight. You can join us.
Mm-hmm.
And from the previous votes, I thought it was already solidified, and especially after the first one where I used my idol, that, oh, we were already in. Like, why are you telling me now that? So then I was like, okay, like, let's think about this. It's split 2-2-2, and I know that Cody and Hannah aren't voting the same, so
Mm-hmm.
all we need is three. And
Yeah.
so that's when Anna had already flopped.
Yep.
So I knew that she would probably be an easy one to get to go along. And then Sam, when I told him, he was hesitant at first, but I said, dude, like, Cody's not a green. And
Yeah.
he was kind of like, oh, it's like, well, if you guys are for sure willing to do it, then I will. And so that's kind of how that went about.
Yeah, it was a really great move, like the timing of it, but then also it's it's a minority vote split, which is sorry, it's a make a majority against a vote split, which is such a
Mhm.
it's a tricky thing to pull off, but it's a great identification of a chance there, right? Where if
Mhm.
they you don't have the numbers, but because they are splitting their votes, like it gives you the chance for it. And so yeah, that's one of
Yeah,
those
and
those biggest moves where I wonder like if that doesn't happen, like how does the rest of the season play out differently? Because Cody was such a strong strategic player. Obviously, his threat level was really high at that point already, but yeah, who
it
knows how
definitely would
things
have
are
been
different?
nice to have him numbers wise. Yeah, especially Shield because he just was that strong of a player.
Yeah,
You could easily kind of hide behind him. But really, in that moment, it's like you said, like it just taking the opportunity and just taking the chance on making that move. And one reason also I wanted to do that was to kind of show the others on the green side as well that like I'm willing to work with essentially anyone.
yeah,
I thought it might open doors for a later move, and
yep,
I really thought in that moment that Sam would be willing to make a move on a green with me down the road.
mm,
But of course, as you guys see these episodes, really that ended up not happening. So that's one
yeah,
thing I regret, especially is because I thought he would be willing to work and take out a green, and really he wasn't about that. So
yeah,
looking back, wish it didn't happen. But in the moment, I was like, this is a great way to take someone out, but
sure,
also extend olive branch to others on the green side. Like I'm willing to make moves, however,
yeah,
but it just didn't work out.
yeah. You see Sam really wrestle with that a lot of this, late end of the game where he's like considering a move and then just isn't, I don't know, isn't
And
saying
that
the
was
right
so
things to
many
the
of
right
them.
people. Yeah,
So many of the I mean, I had conversations with Dan and Abby where really talking about getting Liz out.
mm-hmm,
Where I try to make the point, I was like, the later it gets, it's no longer your move, it's your group's move, and
yeah,
then you're all still stuck again. Like someone has to do something. And they really got close a couple times, I felt like, but honestly, I mean, and kudos on them on sticking together because, of course, they make
sure,
it another episode, and I'm the one talking. But
yeah,
you
right,
know,
right,
for me talking, it's just like, man, like you guys could have had another resume thing. But even I think when I talked to Sam about it as well, he was like, yeah, like I understand, but also that means you also have a resume move too,
yeah,
and I got to get you out like on this one. So it's like I totally understand it.
yeah. I want to bring up the merge vote just because this is one of the rare times where you're out of the vote. It sounded like maybe just a miscommunication and not like a conscious, you know, voting for somebody other than the target. Yeah, is there anything about that you want to share?
Yeah, that one was really unfortunate to I believe that was the one where I won the immunity, so
Yeah,
I
that's right.
was safe. And uh that was a quick turnaround on the vote.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I was over and talking at confessional, I had missed Isaac outing Sky's idol.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
missed several of the scrambling. So when I got back, I only had time to talk to really two kind of small pods of people, and in both of those pods, Hannah happened to be standing right next to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured it was probably either Hannah or Adam. But of course, being by Hannah the whole time, all I was hearing was Adam. So
Yeah.
I went with that. And when we got back from that vote, uh, over half the people came up and they're like, "I'm so sorry, we just
Right,
couldn't
right,
tell you
right.
because Hannah was there." So I was like, "Totally get it."
Yeah,
I didn't want to overreact or really show any reaction because I didn't want people to think I was scrambling. But internally, I was like, "I got to figure out what's going on." So
sure.
hearing them say, "We wanted to let you know, we just couldn't because Hannah was by you," I just let it go. Then I was like, "Yeah, totally understand. Like, no worries at all. Let's move on to this next phase."
Yeah. Yeah, that it totally checks out. It's like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There's no real reason otherwise for you to throw your vote off there, but
Yeah, unless that was a big brain move of happened
yeah,
into she
just
found the idol last second
right,
and I
just
just
in
went with
case.
her. That'd have been the only real reason. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, one thing I wanted to ask about here is that something we never really got from you in the late game here is what you viewed as like your end game or like your preferred, yeah, kind of end of the runway situation. Yeah, what did you have in mind as far as who you intended to go to the end with, how you thought you could get there?
So what I wanted to be essentially like final three was genuinely. any of those five. And
Yeah.
as dumb as it would sound to most people, because you'd be like, oh, like get Liz out, like get these strong people out. Um, I've always watched Survivor. It's never one where like I can remember the names and stuff.
Sure.
I'm just not the greatest at names, but
Yeah.
seeing the people, I always got frustrated that people that played such a great game got picked off at the last second and didn't get to like really fight. And so for
Yeah.
me, it was never who could I go to the end with and just flat out beat them. It was like if I make it to the end in general with any of those strong players, Abby, Liz, Sam, Sky, Dan, like I wanted to be able to try to argue my case against theirs, which they all had such good cases.
Right.
I totally been fine with losing and not getting a single vote because it was just I went up against the best, like
Sure.
at the end. I never wanted to be one that really kind of had an alliance of people that I felt like I could just outright beat them. I
Hmm.
wanted to take people that really deserve to be there and not necessarily take them because I wouldn't be, but
Right.
I always wanted to be sitting at the end with people that like I really had to, like, really put on a good case of why I should outbeat them because they all had such strong games.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's interesting, and I think you have like a pretty compelling case against whoever you end up with there. Obviously, depending on how things shake out from here on out, like yeah, to be the one or one of two like orange players left, you obviously have the immunity, resume points. Um, yeah, it would be an interesting thing to see how a final pairing or grouping would
Hmm.
end up, but yeah, that's interesting to know in that um the the calculus at that point I think from your perspective is just like how do I continue to survive one at a time, and
Hmm.
sometimes that's all you can really consider.
Yeah, and I was never the big brain strategy person, kind of being like each felt, oh, we should do this, we should do this. The only real one I did was at Cody, but that was such last second because I mean he really kind of put that like on himself with that. Um, I'll never claim to be like the big strategy person and really
Mhm.
looking far ahead. I'm good at kind of reading some people in certain situations, but I would never be the one that could really put a plan 3 votes down the road
Sure.
and push people through. So that's definitely something that it would have been hard to fight up
Yeah.
against, Liz, Abby, and Dan because they're so strong at doing that. And I mean, everyone had such good cases that would have been really tough.
Yeah. I want to talk about your alliance with Isaac that didn't get a whole lot of play, but I've heard from both you and him kind of how you had this under the radar thing. It felt almost like his getting bounced out the round before kind of undercut your options um, as far as how to proceed with numbers. Yeah, I'm just interested in hearing from you about your the work that you did with Isaac and yeah, what his elimination kind of meant for you this next round.
Yeah, Isaac going home. That was the one where it felt internally like it crushed me. Like
Mm-hmm.
honestly, like it was such like a punch in the gut. I felt horrible, even though I had no hand in it.
Yeah.
That was one where whenever I finally got out and got to see him, I gave him a big hug. I was like, dude, like that was awful. And we like he laughed about it and stuff. I was like, no, like I felt sick whenever he went home because we really did put a good amount of work into like really trying to work in secret. I mean, we had hand signals and gestures
Yeah.
on, when it came to votes on like stuff like that. Cause I was trying to really work with everyone. I was
Mm-hmm.
really playing a very middle game.
Yeah.
And as you see in this episode here, like Sam was, Ty's rock solid. Well, I was rock solid in voting with them, but I was relaying all of their information the whole time. I
Yeah.
was just doing what benefited me to keep going. So when Sky played her idol originally, um, out of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know. Like I tipped it off to Isaac more so like letting him know what the vote's going to be,
Yeah.
and he turned around and let her know so she knew just to play it and to ruin that vote. So like I didn't even realize that in time, and even once the game ended, but when we watched the episode, I texted him. I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" Like we joked about it and laughed about it, but
Yeah.
It's like good on like that was such a great play on his part to take that information instead of keeping it internal and just surviving, relay it over
Yeah.
and them being able to make a move out of it. So I thought I was like, good on you for doing that. Like that was such a good play. But yeah,
Yeah,
we
that's
we
cool.
really didn't talk much in general. We always talked around others, so it never seemed like anything at all.
Hmm.
But really, like we legit, it felt like a batter looking towards third base.
Right, right.
Getting the call from the coach, like it was just hand signals and confirming or redirecting, like of okay, never mind, this is actually happening. We
Yeah.
should do this.
Yeah, it's really cool. I wish that, you know, it would have came through. Obviously it's intentionally subtle, but yeah, that's a cool little storyline and a nice, yeah, like strategic choice that y'all made. Yeah,
And
I
it just made the
wonder.
game
Yeah.
so much fun. It
Yeah.
made the game so much fun doing that too, because we just felt so like just sneaky, but it was just so ratty at the same time. Like that's what made it
Yeah.
so fun is just keeping it so hidden, and like it really made playing the game even that much more fun.
Yeah, that's great. Last thing I'll ask you here is, you know, I think everybody kind of had a different experience of this, but what like what surprised you the most about yourself in going through this, whether it's, you know, a strength or something that you discovered, or you know, how something may have affected you more than you would have expected. Yeah, is there anything that comes to mind as far as, yeah, how you maybe surprised yourself going through playing the game?
I think what surprised me was I was able to not have to be as like cutthroat and really kind of strategic in a way of building up alliances and breaking stuff down. Like I
Hmm.
really could try to just be myself and just be friendly with as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And that really helped me get kind of to this episode where I was even now. Um, I remember the last couple episodes beforehand, there's moments where Dan or even Abby would be like, my name was brought up, but rather than taking the shot and getting me out, they would be like, "Well, he's such a great guy. Like, we enjoy playing with him, and we know what he's going to do." And
Right.
I think that helped me too, being so blunt as well, and just telling people what I plan on doing.
Yeah.
That helped me go longer, and so I'm glad that I was able to kind of just not necessarily be just scheming the whole time and stuff. I could just genuinely try to talk to people and hang out and such.
Yeah.
I wish I could have with Adam and Sky. I mean,
Sure.
I wanted to work with them so many times, but there's so many instances where we would talk right after a vote and be like, we'll talk again and, let's try to work this out. And then I just would never even see them again. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. So I couldn't really work with them there. But I really did enjoy being able to look back and be like, all right, like, yeah, like I didn't have to like end up leaving here and worry about how I'm going to look on the screen because I'm
Sure.
kind of just being a jerk and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
No, that's good. And there really is, I think, a an underreported um strategic, you know, social strategic component to being upfront and like honest with people. It's like ideally you're only lying to people right before you eliminate them, and then they're out of the
Hmm.
game and you don't have to deal with the implications, right? It's like part of
Yeah.
it, yeah, is like proving your trust to the people who are still in the game so that they want to work with you and they think highly of you, right? Like um so yeah, it's interesting, and I think it's a thing that doesn't get talked about, is how to not just, you know, obviously the scheming and the deception is a huge part of it, but just as important is the trust building, which you do through being, you know, honest and a good hang. More, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Which I do want to say randomly, like I watching this last episode where I go home, I appreciate the edit because really in real time it was just dead ringer. I was gone.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because I was so blunt with like me and Sam talked and some other stuff, and um I'd try to work with others, but I was always upfront and honest, and so I remember we got done with the challenge and we were walking around and I happened to be by Sam and so I was like, so Liz, like, like this is, I think
Mhm.
you guys can use me and Sky to really take a shot. And he looked at me and he just like, he just did that like Sam smile, like, but is looking at me from side eye. And he was like, it's you. Like, you got to know, like, it's you. I was just like, but I mean, maybe. And he's like, no, like
That's funny.
the time's done. So it made it super easy to get through waiting to get to tribal where you edit it great, whereas like, oh, are they gonna do, are they not? But
Hmm.
in real time, it was so bona fide, whereas like, oh, dude, you've got no shot. So it's like, all right. So
That's funny.
it was nice to relax before you taking out my fire, at
Yeah,
least.
there you go. Yeah, I mean, and it felt like a sure thing to you, and maybe it was more of a sure thing, but like Sky is genuinely shocked that she's not eliminated this time, right? So like
Mhm.
she at least is worried for herself, but yeah, yeah, who knows? I'm glad there is a little bit of suspense there, and it wasn't a writing on the
Yeah,
wall situation.
very well done. Which
Yeah,
also
appreciate
kudos
it.
because the whole show was so well done. Like you guys and
Thank
your
you.
team did such a great job.
Appreciate that. Yeah, yeah, it's been so much fun to put together. We had like such a great crew working on it, and always I put the most credit on all of y'all and the games that you played. It was so compelling and fun that like you know it's going to be a good product. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else that you want to share here before we wrap this up?
Not really. I mean, nothing I can really think of. I kind of got everything that I was thinking out of the way, unless you
Cool.
can think of anything else.
I think that about covers it. Cool. Well, thanks again for joining.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm glad we had this talk.
Yeah,
Hopefully, it'll be nice to see some familiar faces here in a couple of weeks. Hopefully, whenever we kind of do the live thing.
totally. Yeah. Yeah, really stoked for the finale. I'm halfway through editing it right now, and I've been pretty happy with how it's come out so far. So
Awesome. Can't wait to see it.
sick. Um, and then, of course, for the listeners, make sure that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. That's easy enough to do. There's also a couple links in the description. One directs you to the mailing list where we just send an email or two a week. And then there's also the season 2 interest form. So if you want to be a part of season 2 as a player or a member of the crew, you can put in your interest now and you'll be notified when applications go live later in the summer. And that'll do it here. Make sure, again, a week from today, we've got the Outlast finale, which will drop here on YouTube at the same time as usual. Carve out some time for finale night because it's going to be a longer episode. And we're excited for you all to see how Outlast concludes. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.